What has a nose that grows, kills people with their lies, and wears clogs?
We'll find out. Welcome back. You made it to another week at Beer Me That Movie, where we're doing a feature presentation from a brewery called Swamp Head.
Yes, Swamp Head out of Gainesville, Florida.
And the beer is called Big Nose. And in this beer's description on Untappd, they actually end it by saying "beer me." So we're going to answer that call, Swamp Head. We're gonna beer you the whole movie. But
we got there.
I'm John. This is Harrison next to me. And as always, we'd love to ask you to subscribe to our podcast if you found it, and tell a friend, because that's the best way for us to get another listener, which is how we survive.
That's it. We live off people. I mean, listeners.
We're not vampires. So yeah, this week we're going to turn the beer called Big Nose into a movie called Big Nose.
Holy crow.
Harrison nailed this one as soon as we landed on it last week by saying that it's sort of a story about Pinocchio gone wrong. Dark Pinocchio.
Yes.
I'm not sure if we're allowed to say Pinocchio, that we're stealing that idea, but you know what? This movie's called Big Nose, and it's inspired by a story that Disney probably stole from someone else.
They absolutely did. Yeah, this has been around for a long time, this story. Now we're gonna, but it's also the same story of the little wooden marionette becomes the boy, the end. We are going to go past that. It was not the end. It was the beginning of Pinocchio's long life, doing the bidding of the Blue Fairy. No, doing whatever Pinocchio does, which we're going to kind of explain at least a chapter of that life tonight.
So before we begin on this film, usually I start by trying to establish a protagonist, but
oh God,
for those of you, myself included, that are really not too familiar with Pinocchio, other than he was like an Italian wood boy whose nose got bigger,
right?
Harrison, can you give us all a primer on Pinocchio to the best of your ability? It doesn't have to be substantial, but I trust you more than me because I've just given you all I know about him.
Yes, sure. So I think I guess we'll start with the facts and then maybe talk about what has actually happened in Pinocchio. But yeah, the gist of Pinocchio is, pretty much what I just said. He starts out as Geppetto's marionette rather, that he made, kind of in the image of his lost son, his son who died, and becomes friends with him. They go on adventures, and Geppetto kind of puts out into the universe, it would be great if Pinocchio become a real boy one day, and the Blue Fairy kind of answers that with essentially like, when you're ready, Pinocchio, when you've kind of proven you can, you're ready, I'll make you real. And so it's the story of Pinocchio going on adventures and kind of learning morals and ethics and stuff and standing up for things that are moral, and eventually becomes real because of that. Gets to live with Geppetto as a boy, and it's wonderful and happy. Something about Inside a Whale happens. If you watch the live remake they did in the 90s, there's a terrifying scene where a bunch of the boys get turned into donkeys. That left a horrible mark on me, like E.T. There's some scary moments.
I forgot E.T. was your scariest movie.
In the live action. I can see flashes of that night in the movie theater when I was probably, 8. And it's still seared into my memory. So we won't have any kids becoming donkeys tonight, I don't think.
Now I want to include it just for realism.
Maybe we can. It's our show. But yeah, so that's the gist. And there's lots of, this obviously story has been analyzed forever. It's about, because one of Pinocchio's most important features is that he can't tell a lie. And if he does, his nose grows. And then when he tells the truth, it goes back to normal again. So that kind of is really a mechanism to help teach Pinocchio that lying is bad. And that's one of the lessons he has to learn to become a real boy. So that, with Big Nose being the name of tonight's movie, I'm sure will play a bit of a role in it. But yeah, lying's bad. Lots of themes in it. Lying's bad, but also like I guess it's a big metaphor for like being a kid. You don't really know much as a kid, and until you learn a bit about the world, that's what makes you a real
Once you
boy.
get that first credit score,
Right, exactly right.
congrats, you're a
Ugh.
real boy.
Oh man, yes, exactly. Once someone disappoints you greatly, yeah, or exactly get that email letting you know that your FICO score is down.
So we're gonna pick up on tonight's movie 100 years after,
Sure.
200 years
Yeah,
after Pinocchio
I
has
think so at
been
least. Yeah.
transformed into a real boy. Time, as it does to all of us, has taken Geppetto away from him,
Jiminy
and he.
Cricket.
Thank you. Yep. There's also a cricket.
That's
The
it.
the whale might still be around,
Yeah, with a
but
couple hooks in him, but he's
he's
still out there.
he's not really avidly part of Pinocchio's
That would be amazing.
circle of friends. So Pinocchio's gotten lonely and was turned into a boy by magic that basically had to watch the world take everything away from him.
That's right. The world kept turning and kind of left Pinocchio behind, and so what does he do with his time? Well, we're about
We're
to find
gonna
out.
we're gonna find out, and I think it's gonna involve lying, big bad. So this story is gonna open up in a small little village, sort of, off the beaten path, as
For sure.
as many fairy tales would start.
Yes.
Um, and it's a town that our two protagonists, two
Okay.
lead characters, are
Yeah.
gonna find themselves being drawn to.
Sure.
This quaint little town. We're gonna have you struck me when you said, like, at 8 years old, kids turning into donkeys and everything's really
Yes.
scary. So it's gonna be a young kid. Think
For
juicy
sure.
bits, maybe, 12, 13, 14 years old or something.
Okay.
And he lives with just his dad. Mom's not in the picture. Probably
Yep.
not gonna evaluate on that
Classic
very
Disney
much.
movie.
It's just him and his dad, but his dad is a sheriff.
Yeah.
His dad wears a badge. He's a pretty stand-up guy,
Right.
very methodical.
Yes.
If you're a kid with one parent figure,
Yeah.
this kid got pretty lucky.
Right. Yeah, I like that. So very type A. Let's make him a type A kind of person, super organized. Kind of have to be. You either embrace the chaos as a single parent or somehow like your life is sticky notes and everything's scheduled and everything has to be on time, which is tough for a sheriff because at any moment, all hell could break loose and you're kind of called away. But since that's the life he lives, maybe he's even more inclined for his son's sake to be like, all right, I'm get pulled away at any moment, but like you'll have structure, you'll have what you need, does everything for his kid. So yeah, as you said, I like that the kid will be super lucky to have this sheriff as his dad, and both of them get pulled to this new town out in the countryside somewhere that their, I guess, dad's probably looking forward to. Maybe he gets to be like the new sheriff, and the kid is a kid just trying to, have
Enough
normal
troubles,
life.
right? You don't know real troubles yet, but you do know troubles.
Yes, exactly.
And so I'm torn on this. I think we're going to paint Big Nose as somewhat of a sinister character.
Yeah.
Harrison, do you think the movie opens, we're rolling into this
Ooh.
quaint little town of Woodbury
Yeah.
off the
Okay.
little highway? We're going to do good here. So it's a small town. It's the best place for a kid like you to grow up.
Yep.
Or does that happen after the opening scene, which is our sinister protagonist murdering someone?
Oh, let's get Big Nose up on that screen right away, covered in blood. I think we can.
Love
I
it.
think we can. Literally, the first scene could just be like a bedroom scene. Clearly a husband and wife asleep at night, snoring away, and a little the flutter of the curtain by the window, and
Yes.
something in the moonlight, and maybe the wife kind of wakes up and goes back to bed, and the husband just snoring away. Intruders, come on in. Can't hear you over my CPAP machine. And yeah, I can start with this with a Big Nose murder. But obviously, as we said, we were building this out in the Fast Five, like how he murders people is important. It's with his nose.
How
And
else would Pinocchio
yeah,
murder?
of
Really,
course.
he's got the perfect weapon.
Right, he's got the perfect weapon. Also, not very strong. We're still unsure about how the physiology works of Pinocchio. He becomes a boy. Does he have a heart? Does he have a digestive system? Does he have muscles? Is he just kind of like a weird abomination? So we know he has his nose. We know that can be a weapon. And that's what he uses and to get this guy to do his first
Love this.
murder.
Starts like a creepy film.
Yes.
I love your
Exactly.
like the curtain
Yep.
window fluttering. And
See your
then
clogs.
and it's
Clogs on the
wooden shoes.
I can't do. There we go.
Yeah.
The wooden shoes are broken.
A swoop onto the bed. And we get a really tight shot on this husband waking up with a little abomination wooden boy. Like
We really can't
pounced
see
on-
quite. It's kind of hidden in the dark a bit, but you can see his big eyes.
huge
Yes,
eyes.
huge eyes.
Pounced on top of him like a cat. The first line of the film,
Yeah,
"Do you know why I'm here?"
right. And yeah, that could be good.
No. And then you get like the
Yes.
side shot and you see his nose grow out a little bit.
Yes, I love that.
And he's in really tight on this man laying in bed.
I love it. And freaking out with his nose right over his eye. And maybe even for the first scene, it could like zoom out at that moment of the house and you could just hear the guy be like, no, no, no. And then,
Oh, great.
and you hear just like the explosion of his eye through his brain or whatever. So you don't quite know what goes on between him and Big Nose exactly, other than this, it ends in this dude's death.
Love that. Still a mystery. We just probably saw Pinocchio murder someone, and then you just see him like grab and wipe his face
Right.
on the sheet, like out the window. Boom. Now we're rolling into. Now we're rolling into Woodbury. New
I
sheriff,
love it.
his young son. Thank you, his young son. Thank
Yes.
you, Beer Me That Movie Tradition. This
Oh,
beer
yes.
was checked in
That's
by
right.
Jay.
By Jay.
Jay. So his young son JJ
Perfect.
in the car with our sheriff,
Yep.
rolling into town. There's actually going to be a pretty big. This is a big event. Town's getting a new sheriff. It's a
Right.
small town.
Small
When I
town.
say small town, I mean
Small town.
public school, 50 kids in the graduating class.
Yep,
Very
love
small town. So the sheriff's coming into town. There's like a little, maybe not a sort of a small town parade.
Yeah, that could be fine.
The mayor's there.
Yes.
The bakery has some, I don't know, baked goods.
Baked
It's a fun little
Yeah.
small town event.
Love it. Pop rocks, balloons. The school band plays a horribly off-tune version of putting on the Ritz or whatever. And yeah, they're happy and excited at the welcome and being polite though, because it's cool, but also kind of sad. not much of the parade, the 30-second long parade.
Yeah.
But still,
Small town talent.
exactly right.
But
Yeah.
Small town heart.
That's it. That's Woodbury, a heart of wood, a heart of gold, a heart of. We'll figure out the slogan of the town later. Woodbury, you'll be murdered by a puppet here.
Scratched off.
Right, in blood. So okay, now I like that. And the mayor is. I'm seeing him as like kind of the high school quarterback that never left and then eventually became the mayor. Like thinks he's the bomb. Kind of
Everybody in
D-bag.
town knows him, grew up with him.
Yeah, but right. Yeah, it definitely a people person and a schmoozer, but yeah, like kind of just living out his senior year of high school forever now in his mind. But he's just the mayor this time, and meets the sheriff and his family. I've been the mayor of this town for 13 years. I'll probably die the mayor. I love it here, and the town loves me. Blah blah blah, and everything seems kind of nice.
It's like the old elections, right?
Elections. It's your first day. Let's calm down here with all the questions.
Yeah.
Have some quiche.
and there was a murder in this town.
That's true too. Right?
Like,
the parade still had to happen
maybe a
because the
couple
mayor
of days
said so.
ago.
Right.
And that's a good opportunity for the
I like
mayor
that.
to establish it. Like, look, we need a new sheriff for a while.
Yep.
The old guy's he's old, he's lazy, he hasn't
Right.
solved. This case would probably put him under. It's good that we can just kind of let him retire to his
Yep.
little trailer off near the woods.
Yes, I like that. So yeah, so there's a current sheriff, an old bag of bones. We should give him a name and the new sheriff a name, so we're not just saying Sheriff 1 and Sheriff 2.
Well, there goes my night.
What do you got?
So sheriff, our lead sheriff, JJ's dad, goes by Sheriff Harvey.
Perfect.
Is that his first name or his last name? I don't think we need to care. Sheriff Harvey sounds good to me.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
And the old sheriff goes, and the mayor will say this, like, if you need any help, Sheriff William can help you.
Yeah.
I'll just let you know ahead of time.
Right.
He goes by Sheriff William. Don't try and slip a bill or a will in there. He's very persnickety about it.
I love it.
I hate it because it's like 2 extra syllables, but Sheriff William.
Love
it. I'll be cool with you. I'll tell you what, I'm really excited we got you in here because we really need to get this case solved. The town's kind of up in arms about it.
Yep, need to get it done quick.
I'll show you. We got missing kids. We got all this. Great town to live in. Great town to live in. I'm just really excited to have someone here that can help out.
Yep, have some finger food, but then you got to get to work. And so so I like that, kind of thrown right into it a little bit. This parade and the pomp and circumstance doesn't last too long because there's work to be done. And Sheriff Harvey is happy to do that because he's like a type A dude who's like, awesome, I already got checklists. I can color code things.
Yeah, show me where the office is.
Right, I'll solve this murder tonight.
I'll take some of these baked goods to go.
Right, exactly. I love that. And the kids,
this is my son, like, JJ.
Right, by the way, everyone. And the kid's like, oh man, I wanted to stay and eat some cake. This stinks. Come on, Dad. He's like, take some cake to go. Because again, he's a good dad. Okay, cool. So, and maybe like that day, the next day, pretty quick, that day or the next day, as he's getting to the sheriff now, Sheriff Harvey, let's kind of start there. I think he gets into the new office, meets old Sheriff William. Right, and they have their kind of back and forth. Sheriff William's in the back, just kind of coughing up dust and, trying to look for his coffee cup.
2 empty
in his
cups
right
of coffee.
hand. Okay.
Yeah, on his desk. He's holding one.
Right. Exactly right.
Just down at any good coffee, they would have had a better sheriff.
I know I put it around here somewhere, just dozens of coffee cups. It's all you can see are stains of coffee all over the place.
For Sheriff Harvey.
Yeah, walking in, he's having a panic attack almost. Just
where's your
case
files? What do you have about the murder the other day?
Exactly right. Oh, let me find that. Moves a donut box, moves another cup of coffee. I think this was it. I think, right. And he's like, you remember this just happened? It was a murder.
It just says the man's name that was murdered and 2 addresses. Right. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was Smith Street or Kinney Street.
I'll go back and I'll get there. I got some stuff to do, but I'll get there. What stuff? This is a murder. You're the sheriff. So immediately kind of reveals that he's old, maybe he was a great sheriff at one time, but that time has since passed. And so Sheriff Harvey has to jump in and starts organizing stuff. And maybe that's like a nice quick montage scene where it's him zipping through the sheriff station and maybe he says some metaphor, some line that he uses a lot of, like, what is it? The something about being tidy or
godliness is next to godliness.
Says that, sure. And right away zips into organizing all of the case files, sweeping up a bunch of stuff, throwing away the coffee cups, dusting around some cobwebs,
opening up 2 file cabinets, right? One of them solved cases. Donut box. The other one, unsolved cases.
Right, exactly.
He's like, what are all you like? I want him to notice. I think this is going to play into the story that children go missing in this town.
Yeah, 100%.
So in this organization montage, right? Like, how many kids go missing in this town? Well, they go back like 8 years, or 10 years. Yeah, I've been keeping track.
That's good, and that's actually, let's even make that part of this murder, is that the murder happened, but also like their kid was taken. Yeah, so that's like, so the sheriff's like, everyone's talking about this murder, no one's told me about this kid. Like the kid is also gone. He kind of finds that out there, like through a paper, maybe an article. He just reads a local paper. He's like, why isn't this in any of your notes? Like, show me where you keep these files.
Sheriff incompetence.
Government at work. And so he goes and starts digging through that, and then to your point, like, discovers that it's just not the first time some kid has happened. It happens all the time, like way too much for a town this size, and approaches Sheriff William about it, and he's kind of like doesn't have many answers.
Listen, Harvey. Can I call you Harvey? Listen, my name's Harvey. Yeah. Listen, Harvey, small town. This place is going to eat you up if you let it, okay?
Right.
A lot of kids grow up here. They crave the big city life.
Right.
Exactly. Kids run away all the time.
Right.
You know,
like
we
that.
do our investigation. We ask the neighbors. But if you can't find the kid, if he wants to run away, he's going to run away. Happens all the time. Don't worry about it.
He's kind of writing it off. But
if we found a body, that'd be one thing.
Right. No bodies.
They just run away. Case closed.
Right. That might be his logic. And so we kind of get, but that's not enough for type A Sheriff Harvey. He probably dives into a little bit more and starts trying to learn more about these cases and maybe discovers some things about them that don't make sense and don't really point to them disappearing. Maybe a lot of the families move out of town, maybe, and actually like, maybe even worse than that, like, I mean, knowing what we know with what Big Nose just did in the opening scene here, there could be like every single family that has a kid that is missing also has like a dead parent, or the dad is dead, more specifically.
Suicide.
Too. And that's what it looks like in all the reports. It's like, right, self-inflicted gunshot wound to the eyeball or the throat or the face, and stuff. And as he's digging, and maybe he's like, all right, I gotta see maybe it's the same person. Maybe I can use the bullets to trace the gun to find the person. Like,
Sheriff's already in, like,
have you done any of this stuff? And he's trying to find other Sheriff Williams just digging around for
get my last couple of bottles of whiskey out of here before I retire tonight.
That's right. I'll start drinking some right now.
And so this is a rough situation for a new small town sheriff. Doesn't know anyone, didn't graduate with everyone.
Right.
He's walked into, but I would argue JJ, our younger lead, is an equally tough situation. Doesn't know anyone, got to go to school. You're not friends.
No.
I think your two angles are be quiet or make up a really cool story about how you used to run a gang before you came
That's
here.
Right. Just like new school is just like prison. You got to look tough and big, or you got to kind of disappear.
Yeah.
So right, we'll see what he chooses, but I do think I think their stories are going to kind of parallel through this whole movie, where dad's going through being the new guy in town, and the kid's going through being the new kid at school, which is rough stuff, and
a lot of fun to be had there.
Right. And
maybe
eventually, whenever we get a little bit older and kind of chills out a little bit with the bullying stuff, and that could probably be where it all starts. And I mean, I see kind of a scene where it's like he's lunch scene, trying to find a place to sit, sees a group of guys and gals kind of looking at him and maybe talking a little bit, and they wave him over, and they kind of give off the cool kid vibe, frosted tips, huge baggy jeans, whatever kids wear these days, I don't know. And so or whenever this movie happened, so they're like luring him basically to the table, and perfect in their eyes, it's like new meat, time to scare the crap out of this kid. You guys know what to do. We got one story in this town that makes everyone poop their pants. Let's fill this kid's head with it so he can't sleep at all, and he passes out in class tomorrow, and then we can tape his head to the desk or whatever. Like,
hey kid, have you heard about Big Nose?
That's right.
You know, you live right next to him.
Ooh,
what do you mean Big Nose? Yeah, he steals kids, like all the new kids that show up here.
Okay.
Just feeling like,
yes, really
any small town has a story like this.
Oh yeah.
And if you were unfortunate enough to be a new kid in that small town, the first time you heard it, you were scared. The big kids on the bus told you, your cousins told you.
Yep.
But now it's like 10 cool kids at school that are all filling them up with the lore of Big Nose.
That's right. And it's probably something like, like, listen, kid, I'll tell you this because I wish somebody told me, but a lot of kids go missing in this town. Here's what you don't want to do. You can't go in the woods at night. And, maybe JJ's like, all right, man, cool. Like, whatever. I get it. I'm the new kid.
Want
to make fun of me, but also, right, I don't need to go into the woods. There's a sidewalk from here to my house.
Yeah.
No reason to go into the forest. But thanks, dude. And then maybe one of the other kids is like, I don't know. If you do go in there, though, like don't listen to these guys. You should go in there. You got to find the wishing rock, and you got to make a wish. this forest around here. It's not like other forests. Like we got something going on here that nobody else, no one else in the world has ever seen before. And the kid's like, yeah, right. What? And then one of them leads in and just goes, big nose. And he's like, what the heck is a big, what are you talking about? You got like a large woodpecker here that's flying around. Like, what's a big nose?
Are you picking on me?
Right. Exactly. You're making fun of me. Is this a joke I'm missing? They're like, no. He'll either big nose, man. He's out there. He's real. And other kids are chuckling. Maybe some are. Maybe some are taking it a little more seriously and look just as scared as JJ does.
Yeah, like the first time you heard about Bloody Mary.
Right. Exactly.
Right? Like we all heard it. Some of us probably said it wasn't a big deal, but you bet your ass when you're 13 years old and you turn the lights off and you said that the third time in front of the mirror. There was a moment before you flicked that light switch on that your hair stood up.
Right. Who pooped my pants?
Yeah.
Oh, it was me. I did it.
And that's the kind of it's a good moment for these kids to be sharing in school. Not really good, but
right.
It's a good vehicle for us as the audience of this film to understand the lore of the beer that inspired this movie, Big Nose. Like, why is he so scary? Is he even real? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And maybe they even challenged JJ and they're like, if you go to the Wishing Rock and you make a wish, Big Nose will come out of the woods and he'll either grant it and give you your wildest dreams will come true, or you're taken away forever. And they like challenge him to like you should do it. You should do it tonight. Everyone does it. We've all done it. It's just part of being in this town, man. It's just a story.
Yeah, of course we all did it.
You should still do it tonight. Totally. And maybe it just shuts them down because I think JJ is such a good dad who's like, again, like just a very moral dude that he maybe expected something like this, or it's not his first rodeo. Maybe they've moved towns a couple times before. He just got to kind of get through the first 2 weeks, then he can disappear into the crowd, maybe find some friends eventually. This is just standard I'm the new kid stuff. So he shuts him down. It's just like, nah, like, cool, you guys go have fun with your big bird in the woods or whatever. Like, I'm just gonna sit here.
Nose.
Right, exactly. Don't get his name wrong.
Look at that. He just lost his brother a couple of days ago.
Right.
Mike over there in 10th grade, his brother went missing a couple of years ago. It was real.
Right, and he's kind of looking around to see if they're serious or not, and maybe those kids are like looking down at the ground and to look a little more maybe upset than he would have expected for just an old joke to be played on the new kid. And so maybe he's starting to think about it a little bit, getting under his skin that what's with this big nose thing. And they leave him alone, call him a loser, throw his tray of food on the ground, or whatever, make his life a little annoying because he tried to blow him off, and their big nose prank didn't work. So that sits with him a little bit.
Yeah, it's no fun. If you would have went to Big Nose, it's not like we probably would have been your super friends. But if you're just going to shut us down, then fine, we'll just resort to picking on you. We're kids in school. That's all we know.
And also, this could be a great spot for like the cute girl to stand up and be like, don't bug him. We're not going to the Wishing Rock tonight. Like, he just got here. It's his first day. His dad's the sheriff. Are you an idiot? Like, would he get in trouble? And maybe that scares him off a little bit to be like, all right, fine. I'll just smack your food on the ground. But right, but
throughout history, women have such a second class rap. But in every moment like this, no dude has ever stood up for you.
Correct.
It's always a girl that was like, guys, leave him alone. Quit being jerks.
Exactly, because they have empathy and they can kind of sense when someone is upset, whereas guys are just like,
keep going. He's upset. See if we can make him cry.
Cry right now. If he cries, I'll cry. I mean, I'll feel great. Right. Yes, very true. So, okay, cool. So classic first day stuff. Sheriff dad stressed out and upset at his coworkers, and JJ also bummed out at his co-students, co-leagues, whatever.
And dad probably warned him, it's going to be tough to assimilate with new kids. And I think like we've established that JJ and Sheriff Harvey have a good enough relationship where if not every night, they're going to eat dinner together and check, how was your first day? Well, and Sheriff's like, sheriff stuff, I don't need you to worry about it, son. How was school? Did you make any friends? You had a girlfriend already? Just kind of playing dad. Do you think that JJ would mention the Big Nose story, like knowing that he probably just thinks it's a story and he got picked on? Do you think he cops to it and talks about it with Pop?
I think he does, and I think like maybe like we were kind of talking about the end of the kids telling that story and then being like his brother disappeared, his sister disappeared, and JJ looking at those kids, maybe even after the crowd of cool kids walk away, he takes a moment to kind of side eye look at those kids, and they're like they look miserable. So maybe they just picked miserable kids to freak me out. Or maybe they're telling the truth. So maybe got under his skin a bit. And when he gets home, he's like, kicking his carrots around on his plate with his fork during dinner and kind of slumped down in his seat a bit more. And his dad's, sit up straight. What's going on? What happened today? Classic first date stuff. You want to talk about it? And doesn't get the usual response of JJ sitting up right away and being like, no, I'm fine. He's still kind of distracted by something. So, yeah, I think dad inquires more. Sheriff Harvey kind of clicks into sheriff mode.
Yeah.
It's like, something's going on here. And he's like, tell me what happened today. They, someone give you a swirly, throw you in the fountain. Like, can't hide stuff from me. I'm your dad. I'm also the sheriff.
Yeah.
Says some, just lots of corny dad jokes flying around. It's a good time. Everyone's having a blast. Well, the dad's having a blast. And obviously JJ's so like embarrassed to be like, I heard about basically the boogeyman today, and I kind of believe it, but no secrets between him and his dad. They have a great relationship. So he's just like, all right, I'll tell you, here's what happened. And he kind of tells the story of Big Nose. The dad just kind of stares at him and goes, well, back in my day, it was the Candyman, or it was the boogeyman, or it was always something. It's just try not to let it bother you. I know you got a great imagination, but this, this is probably just them trying to see what'll make you freak out, and they're just bored. Tries to write it off basically, and the kid doesn't know. I don't know what the heck to think. He's confused as heck and just wished it didn't happen. And then, being the good dad he is, probably just changes the subject to the game or something else they both like. And
because they live in different worlds, both probably good people in this movie, but
certainly
dad lives in an adult world, so it's hard, I think, sometimes to relate with like, oh, you're a good kid, you got a good heart, you'll be fine. But you don't understand, Dad. I have to go back to school with these people tomorrow. But maybe it's not that big of a deal. JJ is also probably a little bit wise beyond his years because of all of his dad's ability to drop quick sayings all the time and teach him. But you got to imagine that that's going to haunt JJ. Like, he's got to go back to school. He's still going to try and make friends. But the longer that goes on, the more I think he starts to feel like, one way I could really make friends is if I just said,
if I just did this,
fine, I'll go talk to the nose man.
Right, exactly. And maybe his kind of plan, unknown to the audience, is like the next day, go find that cute girl or kind of set up for him and pull her aside if he can and be like, can you tell me, like, what's going on with the Big Nose stuff? Is that just first day of school stuff, or do I have to worry about some creepy dude in the woods? To check that off my list as a thing that's not real. And I'd rather talk to you about it because you're pretty, and seem to not want me to have
at least
terrifying life of nightmares, like everybody else did. So I like that. And so we can jump to like next day.
Yeah, I like that. So like he's having a hard time getting acquainted, but it's not like a real bully situation.
Not yet. No.
He talks to the only person of his age that's been friendly to him so far, this young girl that kind of stuck up for him.
Okay.
She's Big Nose is definitely part of this town. It's part of the stories that we all grew up with. You'll probably be fine. Well, what about all the missing kids? Yeah, kids run away from here all the time. Like, I thought about it myself. Like, I think you'll be fine. I'll go with you. If you want, after school, we can go out to the woods.
I like this.
And, and then you can get them off your back about Big Nose and you'll kind of be part of us.
Right, exactly. Yeah, just a silly rock in the woods. I used to play it all the time as a kid. Nothing to worry about. Yeah, so she's right. Clearly, quickly an ally, which of course is ticking off all the other cool kids, but whatever, who cares about them? And so I like that. So that's kind of the plan they hatched together. It's like she'll go with him, he'll jump on the rock, jump off the rock, and everyone can go and live their lives. Meanwhile, Sheriff Harvey is, in day 2 of just digging out of the hole that Sheriff William has
Finally
spent
got all the coffee
45
cups
years
put away.
digging deeper and deeper into the chaos that is his non-organization. But he's making progress. Sheriff Harvey's making progress, and right, starting to kind of, as he's going through all these files to organize them, figuring out like pulling aside all these missing kid ones because they stand out as like cases that are unsolved, but like there are not many notes. Like, what the heck? They're missing kids. We need to kind of do something about this. And then, right, one of them is attached to the murder from 3 or whatever days ago, too. So, and maybe like dramatically walks into Sheriff Williams' office as he's like sleeping, listening to like a Western on the radio or something, drops all the case files on his desk and is like, can we talk about this? Like, I know you're like, these are still open. It looks like you did almost no follow up. And like one of them was just from 3 days ago, and it looks almost the same as all the others. Like there's too much to be ignored here. What other notes do you have? What other evidence do you have? Like I need more information. And maybe he shuts him down again. He's like, look, the missing kids, I get it. You have a kid. You're probably freaking out. I'm telling you, they just run away. There's nothing to find here. There's nothing to see. You got to stop looking. You just got here. You don't want to be ruffling feathers over stuff that's collecting dust. You got a new murder. Just look at that one. And he's kind of, maybe Harvey's a little ticked off. Kind of like, don't tell me how to do my job.
I like
the old fogey.
Easy difference between the old sheriff and the new sheriff.
Right.
Everybody watching this is like, oh yeah, thank God finally the new guy wants to get some, like, what, even looking through these case notes, like, did you even interview witnesses? There's nothing in here.
Right. And he's like, maybe he's like, they all left town except for 2 or 1. And like, she's the only one left and lives on the other side of town and is a shell of a human. And so he gives him a little bit of more information, but the takeaway is like maybe 2 people he can talk to about all these murders. Maybe, and that's probably not enough to do anything, but he's still going to do it and follow up and call all the ones out of town that he can find numbers for. Can't find many, but let's say he's successful and finds at least one woman whose kid went missing and whose husband died by self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head, and and calls her, no pickup, leaves a message asking about it, and then and like that day, kind of sheriff decides to go visit one of the other woman on the other side of town whose son also was maybe one of the first ones to disappear, and now she has like no husband, and that could be like kind of creepy, dilapidated house, old toys in the yard, kind of covered in rust and stuff. Now, just a sad situation, but also a little creepy too. And she's just sitting on the porch, just chain smoking away. He tries to talk to her and she really doesn't say much, just kind of starts crying or whatever. It can be like a cool kind of creepy scene where the sheriff's like, maybe this quiet little town has more to it than I thought, and maybe I don't want to be going up, barking up this tree. It's a little bit different than I thought it would be.
Well, and everyone's telling him too, like everyone's excuses. The kids have run away. Even when he does talk to old Linda, chain smoking in an anti-Norman Rockwell poster, like he's like, look, I haven't got to introduce myself yet. I'm Sheriff Harvey. I'm taking over, just following up on some old case files. I don't want to talk about my son ran away, my deadbeat husband killed himself. Honestly, this is the best life I could have ever hoped for. I got 3 packs of Durals until my check comes in next week. She doesn't seem like true, but it's, like you said, for her, it's been a little while. But I think for Sheriff, just like the kid with Big Nose, he's like, do I this could just be kind of status quo. I could understand that kids would want to run away from town.
Right. Is he also chasing ghosts?
Exactly. I want to do my job well, but if it's just going to upset people.
Right. Is this the first impression I want to make here? It's just also the mayor has asked me to solve this murder that just happened, and I'm here looking at old case files. So maybe he thinks he's got a hot lead, but it starts to maybe peel away from it a little bit after this first encounter with the last remaining kind of survivor witness of of one of these mysterious missing kid cases. And again, at the same time, we can zoom back then to end of the day, and it's JJ, the cute girl, going to the woods. And can't remember if we said this or not, but maybe they like are. Well, I guess they have to have an audience. Kind of needs the cool kids there to see him do it.
It's a small town.
Right.
You're not doing anything in this town without half the other people knowing.
The Wishing Rock is also next to the graffiti bridge and the stream we all pee in. So that's where everybody's
first kiss happens like 20 feet down the way.
Right. Just throwing cans into the river. Great stuff. Okay, so so they get there, all the other kids are there being lame, but they think they're cool, and they kind of round the bend, and JJ sees it, the Wishing Rock, and it could be kind of a little dramatic, a bigger than normal looking rock, and kind of a superficial looking clearing, and maybe like just dense forest like right around it, maybe a little patchy before that, but right in front of the Wishing Rock, like it's thick and dark and quiet, and it's always dark in there, kid. That's right. Yeah, you don't want to go. So it's maybe now become a little more real and
between a
intense.
forest and like an impassable,
right? Exactly. Whatever magical forest, mythical monster forest, which is what he's kind of staring at now.
So his dad is in the middle of battling old cases versus this new case, which he does have to spend his attention on, at least because it just happened, and that's kind of his case.
The mayor's pressuring him.
And the kid has decided to take it upon himself to be a grown-up and go confront Big Nose so that he can say, all right, I've said my Bloody Marys.
Right.
Now I'm one of you. Can we all be friends? Like, I think like JJ in this case is like, he's just a good kid. He doesn't necessarily want to be cool, but no one wants to get picked on. And he wants friends. He just left whatever semblance of them he had in his previous town.
Exactly. And
so you think he sees this kind of, there's a little bit of an air of loom around the rock, like you said, with the dense vegetation.
Yes.
Do you think he has any hesitation, or at this point, as he got his mind made up, he's just going to go up to the rock and, what do you say? Big nose, big nose, big nose.
You say it 3 times. Let down your big nose. Right. I don't know exactly how we
step right up.
I don't know if we have to sum him like Beetlejuice, but I think an important element to this too, and kind of what helps JJ make this decision, is like part of that story he was told was, yes, like Big Nose takes you away forever, but also, or you make a wish and Big Nose grants it. And so he is also still like the new kid. He's been bullied since he got there. He met this cute girl, but even beyond all that, like he just wants to like kind of have friends and have a normal life. So maybe the draw of this ability of like, okay, worst case scenario, I whisper something into the woods and nothing happens. Or I guess worst case is a thing comes out and takes me away.
Yeah.
Most likable or most probable thing that happens though is that I whisper nothing or something under my breath and then nothing happens. Best case is I make a wish and it does happen. So like 2 of those 3 options are either great or nothing.
Mathematically worth the risk.
Exactly right. So let's hope that door number 3, a creature jumps out of the woods and rips him into it. Doesn't happen, but right. There's
so that's how you summon Big Nose. You just make a wish on the rock.
Exactly right. And again, maybe the kids don't understand it, and I'm sure they don't. And also, probably all of them also don't believe these stories. Like they're probably sitting there being like, oh my God, this kid actually came and is going to do it when we're all here. Like this is a thing that, we've only heard about because so-and-so saw someone do it once and told their brother and told their friend. And like to have everyone there at the same time with some kid who's going to try to summon Big Nose, it's kind of a big deal. And maybe he even senses that, JJ senses that like he's doing something no one else has done. And that also compels him to be like, oh man, I can go from new kid loser to new kid awesome in a minute, which even for a really good straight edge kid like JJ, he's still 14 or whatever. Like that's a hard temptation to say no to. Like I
100%.
can become
I'm
the cool
40.
kid. Right.
I'm 40 plus, and I would want to do it too.
Exactly right. So lots of things are kind of propelling JJ in a very short period of time to be like, I'm going on this rock and I am making a wish tonight, and it's going to be great.
I don't know how relevant this is to the actual story. In my head, this would happen kind of like the whisper scene in that movie with Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson, where you can't tell what he whispers.
Lost in translation.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
But
yeah,
just between us watching the Beer Me That Movie podcast, what's JJ's wish?
So I think it's something. It's probably a little bit rambly because he is in front of a bunch of people, kind of freaking out, kind of excited. But the essential takeaway is like, I wish to fit in and help my dad make this town a better place because he's a good kid. And maybe like, as he kind of like looks around at everybody else and he's like, I wish for all the kids in the town like me to be at my birthday at the end of this month. Like kind of which maybe feels like a silly wish, but again, he's new. Maybe he sees that as a way of like quickly becoming the cool kid if he's the place to be in a month. He's thinking like a 14-year-old. He's not, he doesn't have some high level wish he's going for other than like to fit in and help his dad make the town a better place. To kind of always do that together. Or at least that's how he's felt with his dad. So that's kind of his.
I like that.
His wish is fit in, but
I
also,
was going to be like, I hope Kelly lets me touch her boob.
Right.
But
I don't think he's there yet. I think he's thinking bigger than Kelly for now.
And it's an honest wish, like
exactly.
Like, what do you want? You're new in town. You want everyone to be friends with you. That makes life so much easier.
Exactly.
So did he have to beckon this and like sound like a loser? With his, like,
no, I think he can kind of sit there and kind of whisper it. And maybe even like some of the other kids are like, what do you say? Come on. You got to we got to know, we got to hear it. And maybe some of the other kids are like, no, you can't listen to his wish. Then it won't come true. And maybe a quick little kerfuffle happens. And
that's bad luck. It's bad luck if you hear his wish.
Right.
He'll come take you too.
Right, exactly. And so he's kind of sitting there whispering it and maybe closes his eyes for a minute. And as the kids are talking back and forth, like you hear like a snap of a twig in the woods and everybody freezes and stares past the wishing rock, past JJ to like the dark woods. And like this figure starts to approach the edge of the dark tree line and everyone kind of freezes and people looking at back and forth at each other of like, no way, who's doing this? Like who's back there? Maybe one of the cool kids right away is like, hey, what are you doing? Who are you? We don't know you. And JJ's like, what's going on? Like this looks like some kind of larger adult person, maybe, or maybe he's still small. I don't know, but I think
I like him still small.
Okay, perfect.
If this is Big Nose coming out.
I
like him.
This is Big Nose.
Maybe as tall as JJ himself.
Okay, right. I like that. Yeah,
but shrouded.
Right, absolutely. We're not. Yeah, we don't get a good look at Big Nose.
Not covered in blankets, but
no. But like, almost like the shadow comes with him somehow.
Yes, exactly.
But those big eyes that we see in the first scene, that's very identifiable. And this could be like the woods. They got there at dusk. Now it's dark, too. It's getting darker every second as this wish is happening and Big Nose is starting to emerge. And so, like, it becomes clear a few seconds later, they're like, oh, shit, this is probably Big Nose. This guy has kind of a big nose. It doesn't really look like a normal kid, normal adult. What are we all seeing? And, like, kids are freaking out. And again, it's all happening at the same time. Well, like JJ's kind of sitting there almost like transfixed, like seeing Big Nose and locked in on Big Nose's eyes. And maybe they're like sparkly a little bit or something. And it's almost like seeing like a baby deer. He's just kind of like, is this amazing? What do I do? Am I supposed to be here? What's happening right now?
I've just narrowed it down to either the worst part or the best part.
That's right. Wow, I hate probability. Yeah. I should have paid more attention in math class. I don't think I understood
still 50-50. But I think this scene's definitely in the trailer where Big
Yeah.
Nose makes his first appearance
I
and
love that.
creeps out of the shadow. So he's gonna approach JJ
Yeah, 100%.
as a shady figure and get right in his face. Which
Yes.
so far in our experience with Big Nose,
That's not good.
That's murder mode.
That's right.
The closer he gets to
smell
you,
of
the more
blood
in
on his
danger
nose
you are.
still. Right. Yeah.
And I think he's gonna qualify him. Like, he's Big Nose, but in my head he's a little bit of like a leprechaun too.
Yeah.
So, he might even just like almost telepathically or whisper back to JJ and say like, "Is that your real wish?" Because if you tell a lie,
Yeah.
in this case, you might actually die from Big Nose's nose explosion.
You don't want to do that. You don't be alive in front of this dude.
But it's also a way for Big Nose to like vet, is this kid really wishing for something decent?
I like that. And maybe all JJ can do is just like nod. Like, that's all he can't talk. He's freaking out. And so how about this? So Big Nose kind of acknowledges that somehow, and then kind of like cranes his head around JJ. And at this point, like, most other kids have like run away. They're tripping over each other. The big cool kid, his pants fell down. He's the most embarrassed. He stinks. But perhaps perhaps three other kids are there, like, curiously paralyzed with fear, not running when they could for some reason. And so Big Nose sees that right away, and like maybe his eyes get even bigger and more twinkly, and JJ kind of sees this and says some kind of creepy Big Nose riddle to the effect of like, "I'll see you three tonight."
Yes. I like this because I like what it implies.
Yeah. So he's got plans.
But he would definitely, I wish I could come up with a quick little limerick about it. "I'll see you three where you pee."
No, right. I see you three. I'll set you free tonight.
Oh, that's good.
Like,
that's good.
Freaking out, and like now they're all screaming, and JJ's like, "Set you free? What is that? That sounds horrible." Free from what? Right. And then maybe JJ like looks at Big Nose, turns to the three kids who start screaming, turns back, and Big Nose can be gone.
Yep.
Just like no smoke, no nothing. He's just not there. And so JJ takes a step back, falls off the wishing rock. The cute girl grabs them, and they all kind of run out of the woods. But like, yes, this crazy thing happened. But did it? Was it a fever dream? Did he really see some kind of boy with skin that looked like it had wood in it approach him from the woods with big twinkly doe eyes and talk to him like Mickey Mouse? I don't know. What's in the water here? This is a weird town. JJ's having a lot of thoughts, but that cute girl grabbed his hand and they ran out of the woods. So maybe he's thinking about that a little bit.
It's amazing what reality
what hormones does as a
into
child
when a cute girl grabs your hand.
That's it. I agree.
Did we just cook a dwarf and eat it? It's okay. It's okay, JJ. Yeah, you're right. I'm fine with that.
Okay. Everything. If you're okay, I'm okay. Oh my God. I love it. So yes,
I like that for our like real encounter with Big Nose so far.
Creepy threat.
And so this is happening at night. Dad's been working on old case files.
Yep.
JJ just had his first confrontation. This is like the first time Beer Me That Movie has done like a dual lead story.
Right.
Do we stick with JJ and follow him home, or do we go back to what's Dad doing?
Yeah, I think at this point, so he's kind of digging through the cases and sees again and again, like, missing kid, dead dad, missing kid, dead dad, missing kid, dead dad. He's like, okay, well, and the dads are being killed by, like, in the report, it says, like, bullet wound to the eye, to the forehead, to the mouth, through the mouth, whatever. It gets kind of gross and graphic, but that's just the life of a sheriff. And so he's like, this can't be a coincidence. I also, like, if there are bullets, maybe it's comes from the same gun. Maybe there's a killer. Useless. Sheriff William did none of this work.
Yeah, why don't I have the bullets?
Exactly right. I'll go diving. If I spend all night in the evidence, I'll find it. But I got to go looking for it. And so maybe he starts doing that. And as Sheriff Williams leaving, kind of scooting out a little bit early, as he tends to do, the sheriff is like, where are the bullets from all these cases? Like, you can't tell me you don't have any of them. That's ridiculous. And The sheriff Williams just kind of like, no bullets at the scene. He's like, what do you mean? Like, I've seen the autopsy reports. Like, this guy had a hole drilled all the way through his skull. They all did. Like, it's almost too perfect to be a bullet. But what are people going around just hitting people in the head with broomsticks around here? Like, that'd be way more messy. That's not what this is. Like, where are the bullets? And the sheriff just like runs out. The old sheriff William just kind of leaves. He's like, oh my God, did I just like, is this guy behind this? Like this old sheriff who's ran this whole town and hidden the evidence of where all these kids go, telling me they ran away. Like,
is he really incompetent, or is he
right.
Deputy Dewey?
There we go. Right, playing dumb, but behind
no bullets, but
all.
gunshot suicides.
Right,
like
exactly. This doesn't add up at all.
Uh,
And it's really bothering his puzzle solving brain.
if I'm Sheriff Harvey, I think the Sheriff William is my prime suspect in this.
For
Why
sure.
aren't the cases solved? Well, he did it. Why aren't there bullets? Well, he hid them.
Yep, ate them, lost them.
I mean, the evidence tells the
purpose.
story, and in this case, the lack of evidence points right at Sheriff Bill.
Right, that's right. Yeah, we don't care which one to be called, old Billy Boy. And it could be like, again, he's a sheriff. Let's see where this goes. Let's pull this thread a little bit. And decides to Harvey does follow Sheriff William that night back to his house and like tails him, sees a kind of dilapidated trailer, or it could be a trailer, maybe a row home, a little house, bungalow, whatever.
Nice.
And he like sees me out of his car, looks kind of shady, grabs a mysterious black bag out of his back seat, shoots into his home, and like the sheriff Harvey's like, oh my gosh, like what is this guy doing? It's creepy as heck. I'm right on the money. Once again, I've solved this thing before it could get even more out of hand. And sees him William go into the house, and then like a light in the basement flicks on, and then he quickly sees Sheriff William run to like the window in the basement and like shut it and black it out. And he's like, oh my gosh, like is this easy? This guy this dumb, and just no one's been in this town to take 5 minutes to see what he does at the end of the day. He's got a bunch of kids in his basement. Like, oh my gosh, I gotta do something now. So gets out of the car, sneaks into the house, moving around. And that could be a fun kind of Silence of the Lambs like scene with Clarice looking around the house for Buffalo Bill. Intense. It could be intense. Checking room to room, trying to find where the access is to the basement.
How do I get to this trailer's basement?
Right, with his gun drawn. And it could, I think what should end up happening though is that, because we know we know about Big Nose. So he opens like the door to the basement finally, and like finds the sheriff not hiding kids, but like doing something.
Growing weed.
Well, I was gonna say like
maybe not.
In an apron, like baking cookies, because he also does like Williams confectionaries and treats, and he has like an online
this
store.
Town needs another bakery.
Right.
I'm tired of that French lady saying she's French. She was born here.
She's horrible. Her crepes are garbage. I make better crepes in my sleep. Like William has a passion for fine baking, for French confection.
Yes.
And he's in it. That was a bag of flour he had, and he has like a industrial kitchen in his basement that he used to experiment stuff. It's all his pensions in it. That's his retirement plan, is to be like basically the next Martha Stewart, but as a retired kind of crusty idiot who, I don't know, makes beignets and sells them on the internet. So that's what he discovers. That's what Sheriff Harvey discovers. Not kids, just hiding a hobby that maybe he thinks William, the old sheriff, maybe shouldn't have this hobby in this small little town. You have to do a lot to hide your hobbies in a town this small. So he's taken extra precaution, which made him look more guilty than he actually was. But there needs to be a benefit for Sheriff Harvey to this trip and going inside Sheriff Williams' house. May kind of help him, maybe either, I don't know if he pieces some things together or what, about what, but this feels like that point in the movie where he's chasing down one hallway and hits a dead end, but it's not. It's like it's just a hard right turn.
I think it's a good opportunity. Like maybe he sees that the sheriff had some old newspaper clippings about some of the old cases, and that reminds him like, okay, this sheriff wasn't always Just like I wasn't
Right.
always an old man to my son, the sheriff
Right.
wasn't always terrible.
Right.
And maybe even they have like kind of a heart to heart where he's like, look, I really feel like some of these cases could be solved. What
Mhm.
can you do? What can you tell me about? Like, and they have like a sheriff to sheriff moment.
I like it.
Um,
Yeah, and maybe even as they're kind of talking, Harvey notices like some newspaper clippings on a specific wall with like some yarn and thumbtacks and stuff, and maybe it's even like hidden behind something. It was on like it's on a poster board that was taken off the wall, and when Harvey goes to and William's like, try one of the beignets over there on
yeah.
that's my special with pistachios in it. Go grab it. He goes to grab some pistachio beignets and sees behind the counter this poster board with some stuff on it, some more clippings, and pulls it out. He's like, what's this? And the Sheriff William is like, that was just a bunch of dead ends too. I thought I had something with that guy, but I think I was just barking, chasing ghosts, just chasing nothing. And it's a collection of clippings of like kind of security camera footage of a blurry figure and some local newspaper articles about what is essentially Big Nose, but like this mysterious figure that's doing things around town, sighted at weird places, doing weird things. And at one point, he just had the town a little bit worried not too long ago, but then maybe the sighting stopped, changed, whatever it was. We can figure that out later. But like, this is kind of getting Sheriff Harvey to be like, holy crow, like, what am I looking at? Or maybe one of the,
I loved it. I was just gonna say, like, there's a blurry photo of a man, like a Bigfoot photo.
Right,
And
exactly.
he's like, is that guy's nose?
Right.
Nah, everybody in town thought that newspaper photo was actually the big nose everyone
Right.
talks about. It's a telephone wire
Right,
shadow
exactly right. Just a bunch
coming
of
off his
birds.
face. Yeah.
And Harvey's like, you gotta be kidding me. No, that's a dude. That's a dude with a huge nose.
There's no
isn't it?
wire coming out of the back of his head. That's
Right.
clearly a weird
Right.
nose.
That's just a weird creature.
Nah,
person.
the shadows and
I
bad
don't know.
tricks in camera.
Right, exactly. Look, you got
Next, you're going to be telling me you saw UFOs in my wedding picture.
Right, you were never married.
Yeah.
Well, what can you do? But okay, I love that. So, but what this is kind of going to do then for Sheriff Harvey is just hatch that possibility of like, oh crap, what my kid said. Maybe there's some truth to it. Also, where's my kid? But but he's
True.
like, okay, I got to get home. I got to go figure out where JJ is. I'm more than just a sheriff. I'm a dad. But takes with him that seed has been planted of like, all right, now I got to deal with some shady kind of character running around town that every couple months shows up somewhere he shouldn't in some security footage. Clearly the same person, but
And I think
who are they? What are they doing?
that, like, I should go find my kid. It's been a while. He's been out of school now for a couple hours. I haven't seen or heard from him. This is my opportunity to get to my favorite part of this movie. So the sheriff at this point is going to get a 911 call.
Okay.
Comes over his radio. Sheriff, we got a domestic disturbance, so-and-so, and he's going to get dispatched to this place in town. We're going to do a little bit of a time warp
Okay.
and go back just a couple of minutes so we can see what caused this domestic disturbance.
Yes.
So again, we're going to camera in to a boy's room. One of the boys that Big Nose pointed at.
Yes.
We see him in his room. Doors shut. He's playing music, but he's in his headphones, kind of keeping to himself. Door busts open.
Oh.
His dad comes in. Dad starts yelling at him. You're never going to amount to anything. I told you to take the trash out. Yeah, and him and the kid start kind of going back and forth a little bit. And the dad starts wailing on him.
Ooh.
Like it's. I want it to be an uncomfortable scene.
Yeah.
Because the kid's still pretty young, but like it's not just like a slap or a spanking. Like the dad cocks him.
No
He's
good.
probably a little bit sauced.
Right. 100%.
Dad didn't want to live in this small town. Dad failed at a lot of things, and now he's kind of taking it out on his son too. And he's pretty cool about it. And then it just kind of ends with like, if I'm going to come back here in 10 minutes, if this room isn't clean, I'm really going to give you something to cry about.
There we go.
Dad shuts the door. Kid's like kind of balling. The
Yep.
tough kid at school. Now we
Yes,
see like
exactly.
he's got a pretty crappy home life. And at
Correct.
this moment,
Yes.
we do a callback to the curtain flittering
Ooh, yes.
by
that
his
first scene.
window.
I love that.
And you're like,
And the
shit, I
clock-
know what happens.
The clogging. I do the clogging thing on the. Huh? He takes his headphone off. One headphone off. What? What was that?
Poof.
That's what he
Black
calls him.
smoke.
Right.
And Big Nose is in the room just staring at the kid.
Big eyes. Big eyes. Big
Kid
nose.
thinks he's in. He's done for. He's
Right.
like, you know what? I guess this is going to be better than having my dad come back and beat the shit out of me again.
Right.
And I think Big Nose at that point would just kind of question him. He's like, damn it.
Well, he could kind of approach the kid, and we could even do like a quick cutaway then to the dad sauce in the pantry, looking for that extra bottle of gin he hid somewhere, and so we don't know what happened with Big Nose and the kid in the room yet. He just looks terrified in the corner. Big Nose approaches with his big eyes, his big nose. And then we were in the pantry now, and like the light shut off, and the dad's like, "What the hell did that?" Turns it back on. Light shut off again. What the hell did that? I'm just trying exactly right. Trying to find something in here. You better get back in that room, or I'll slap you silly. And then light shut off again, and then the next time don't really turn on, and the dad turns around, and Big Nose is right fucking there.
Yeah.
Bounces on him with his weird marionette arms, marionette human arms.
Get Team America vibes,
Yeah,
but
exactly. But full human kind of
strength, at least.
Yeah, right. And also magical strength with the clogging. Which is just you just hear the clogging happening.
It's very hard to get up after you've been clogged in the shin.
There you go. Clogs him in the shin, falls down. Big Nose jumps on him, holds the dad back. And, what the hell are you doing? Who is this? What are you? And then Big Nose begins his interrogation.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Something to the effect of like, "Do you know why I'm here?"
No, I don't know why you're here. Get the fuck off of me.
And then the Big Nose grows a little bit. Whoop. Do you know what you did?
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to punch you if I didn't do anything. I'm going to punch you in the face.
And the nose gets doubly long because Big Nose knows he's not punching him in the face. He's using Big Nose magic right now. Double lie. The guy didn't even know. Fall right into it, as they always do. Big Nose knows what he's doing. And this guy's got like now Big Nose's nose like an inch away from his eye. And he's like, "Get out of here! What are you doing with that thing?" Trying to move his head. He's like, "I have a kid. Don't hurt me. I have a kid." And then the Big Nose, his eyes get even bigger, and he goes, "Do you love your son?" And then the guy goes, "Yeah, of course." And then we just like hear the whoop and the scream and the pop of his eyeball in his brain, and just as he's like wiggling and kicking his feet on the floor of the pantry.
Yes.
With Big Nose on top of him, going,
blood spilling onto the checkered kitchen tiles.
Yep, exactly right.
Big Nose reaches for a couple of tearaway sheets of paper towel to again clean his face off.
Oh, that's right. Drink some varnish. From the old days, just to wet his palate, and and then kind of like, so that happens, which is ridiculous and amazing, and
I've got work to do.
What now? Two to go.
And this takes us exactly to why Sheriff Harvey gets the 911 call, because his good-hearted son saw this happen. He left. He made sure Betsy or his girlfriend got home all right. And then he was like, "Damn, you know what? Like, I saw this creepy guy say he was going to go. I want to learn more. I want to see what I can do. Maybe I can, I don't know what this guy's up to."
Right. Go to these kids' houses and at least make sure they're okay, because it seems like Big Nose is real. So
every kid wants to emulate their dad at least a little bit, too. His dad's the sheriff. Like,
as many
I know what to do. I'm going to go investigate. I'll see what's going on. Kid shows up to a pin-cushioned former dad laying in a pile of blood.
Exactly.
Calls 911. "Dad, you gotta get over here to Scott's house.
something's happened. I think it was Big Nose. Maybe it even says that. And the dad's like, what are you talking about, son? He's like, he's dead. I'm looking at a dead body, Dad. Get over here. And maybe as that happens, he hears like the clogging and looks and like runs down the hall and sees Big Nose kind of creepily scampering away with the kid over his shoulder, maybe even into the yard, shoots into the woods, and JJ maybe tries to follow, but Pinocchio magic just makes the leaves grow, the vines grow. He can't get deeper into the woods. And at that point, hears the sirens of his dad's car coming, runs back, and where we catch up with now to the scene of the crime, where there's this dead dude in the pantry that again looks like he was shot in the head. And right, the dad is now here. Sheriff Harvey's here and is able to see, like, well, it does look like a bullet shot to the head, but there is no bullet, no gun. Like, what?
Damn, I'm the old sheriff now.
Right, exactly right. What is going on in this town? What the heck am I experiencing? And so he talks to his son a little bit, who's obviously shaken up, and they have a good back and forth. Again, great relationship. So quickly, kind of cut to the chase and he gets information out of JJ that he needs. And basically JJ's just like, I know I came here first just by chance, but Big Nose called out the other two. And so the dad's like, other two, what do you mean? Like, son, if you ever see it, and maybe at this point, even his dad is like, Big Nose is just a creepy guy. He's not assuming he's Pinocchio.
Yep.
It's just like,
it's a real
Big
dude.
Nose is just a name some
a murderer.
drifter has
Yep.
earned somehow and is using an ice pick to drill people's heads in or whatever. And
I'm going to solve this case. We got him.
We're close.
JJ says, we pointed at two other kids.
Right, exactly. We'll just go to those houses.
This one's already, we go upstairs and check kids missing.
Right, exactly. Kids gone.
Windows open.
Ones. Right. Clog marks on the ground, but he doesn't understand that.
Yeah.
He's never seen a clog mark before.
What, do they have a donkey in this house?
Probably nothing.
We got to play out Big Nose's murder scenes. Dad's gonna bring JJ.
Yeah, I mean, I think like now he's in like we're full on. There's a dude killing people in this town. He's alive and out there tonight. Safest place for my son to be is with me. So I'll put him in the back of the car. But I gotta go try to stop this other murder. The other two potential murders. I'm only one person, so maybe he does call, Mr. Sheriff William, the baker.
Listen, William.
Exactly. Listen to me. I need you to do this. And they just divide and conquer. You go to this house, I'm going to this one, and they're kind of staking it out. Knock on the door, or maybe just stake it out. And what ends up happening is something to the effect of like the house that Sheriff Williams at, the people aren't even home. They're like out to dinner, and that's the next attack.
So we see this, right? So we get the plan from Sheriff Harvey.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to call the old Sheriff William. We're going to split these up. We're just going to stake these houses out tonight to we'll get him when he shows up.
Always making a plan, always thinking it through.
As this conversation is happening, we see a murder, another Big Nose murder. Similar setup. We see one of the kids from he's out playing. Maybe this time he's out playing like late night basketball. Perfect. Out at the court. Big Nose approaches him.
Grabs the ball, shoots it, and the ball bounces and then doesn't come back. And just Big Nose steps slightly into the light. Ha ha! Is this your ball? I love balls. Just being Big Nose, just creepy around everybody.
Kid, but creepy. Yeah. Anytime someone comes out with that, it's a rough opening line. You're a tough hang, Big Nose. So I think Big Nose at this point we can say like, hey kid, life at home's pretty tough,
right?
You want to come stay with Big Nose? And there's like some sort of magic that's happening.
Cool.
Where to me this sounds creepy, but to the kid,
right,
who we could understand probably also was abused at home.
Yes,
the kid says like, do you have basketball there? I have a lot of balls there, and lots of kids we could play with too.
Yes.
Great. So we see the kind of deal orchestrated,
yes,
and then immediately cut to Dad working out in the garage gym.
Ooh,
Got the
love
metal
this.
music playing.
Yep.
You can tell he doesn't belong in this HOA. Like,
Yeah.
it's a nice neighborhood, but he's got the garage door swung wide open, just blasting music, loud, obnoxious, grunting.
Yep.
Not maybe like probably not a Nazi flag in the garage,
a lot
but
of
like
scantily clad women on posters. Right.
Yeah, enough reasons where you'd be like, I don't want to walk my son in front of that garage
Exactly.
yet. And so Big Nose makes his approach here.
Shuts the garage door. Who's doing that? I'm trying to get my swell on.
Switching the music to like polka music.
Oh my gosh, who's touching that? Told you to stay out here. This is my time in the garage.
Damn you, kid.
I catch you out here.
And then he sees our leader Hosen Clogware here.
Coming in. Just flying off, standing creepily in the doorway with his big eyes.
This dad especially should be easy for everyone to hate. So he's just going to start with like, what are you doing here, you little sissy Nancy boy? You want some? Like,
right. Oh no, you shouldn't have said that.
Do you like sissy Nancy boys?
Right, there you go. No. The nose grows.
What the hell is wrong with your nose?
Right, exactly right. And so he corners this jerk, and does Big Nose asks him some more questions, ends with some version of, so do you love your son, right? Yeah, whatever, dude, just leave me alone. And the same death, but yeah, similar death. Meets this dude too.
Much more like Final Destination. Well, maybe not maybe he catches him when he's on the squat rack or something.
Maybe his nose doesn't hit him this time, but his nose
oh no, it does. It goes through his knees.
Oh, okay, through his knees. Perfect.
And that makes him drop the barbell that he's holding,
breaks his back,
which it lands on his neck. And to be clear, Big Nose doesn't kill you.
Right.
Your lies
100%. That's the whole takeaway here, right? Is that the lies are what ultimately do everybody in.
And then with this weird time hop that's hopefully happening into most of your minds as well, the sheriffs, both of them, show up at their respective houses.
I love this.
Sheriff Harvey gets to the house, sees a garage door closed, the lights are on, everything. He's like, all right, we're going to wait here for a little bit, son. Sheriff William gets to another house. Lights are off. There's one car in the driveway. It's Sheriff William. He's like, I'm gonna read up on some of these French butter recipes and just wait and see what happens. So we think in this movie, I want you to think that we're in a place where we're probably going to catch Bigfoot because we got both houses. Bigfoot, good night. We're probably going to catch Big Nose because we've got both houses covered. But that's where we get to our last murder. And I like what you said earlier. You said this probably happens like out of the house.
Yep, somewhere fancy for dinner, like an Arby's parking lot. Right, so the person that Sheriff Williams is supposed to be watching, not home, out to dinner with the family, and you get to see right here as well, like the dad to the kid, like, I told you to save some fries for me. You know how much I like fries. Like, did you just get the burgers when we
go
come
out
here?
And sit in the car by yourself if you can't eat dinner with us.
Where's that barbecue sauce? I told you to get some extra barbecue sauce. You want to walk home? All right, just being a jerk. So immediately evident that this guy's bad news. And maybe that is what he does. He kicks the kid out to the car. And the kid's sitting alone in the car kind of crying. And Big Nose emerges from the back seat. Oh, what's wrong, buddy?
I love that he's like a more creepy it.
Yeah, exactly. He is. I see how huge his eyes are and keep getting more and more terrified. But so same deal. Kind of presents this kid with an option, if you will, of like, you can get out of here with me, and we have the meats in Pinocchio land as well.
I love French fries. Curly ones.
Love how they curl around my fingers. Me too, man. Right, so to any adult, this is terrifying, but to these kids, they're like,
I do love French fries.
Right, and meat. And Arby's. This guy sounds great. Oh my god.
So in this, so Big Nose magically teleports the kid back to the safety of Big Nose Land. So we think.
Yes.
And in this case, Big Nose waits in the car.
Yeah.
But he doesn't wait in the back seat. He's pretty small, little wooden boy. Big Nose crouches down and waits right near the gas and the brake. So finally, after waiting, Dad gives up and he's like, all right, I told the kid he could walk home.
Right.
He's going to have to walk home if he isn't sitting out of the car like a loser.
Right.
Gets in the car, sits down. He's like, God damn it, kid. Where the hell did you go? Probably ran away like so many of those other useless kids.
Yep.
And now Big Nose's head is in a very precarious position
Oh my God.
for this abusive father.
Amazing.
I'm trying to think of his first two questions.
Right. Exactly. It could just be as simple as like, you think you're a good dad? I'm the best dad. I take my kids out to Arby's 5 nights a week. And his nose curls. What the hell's going on? Where are you? One of my kids' friends? Why do you look weird? I'll have to drink in that Arby's. The booze I brought myself, of course. You don't look like a normal kid, though. And then, so ask him that question and ask him, one or two more. He big noses him. Big noses him good. It gets to the point where, I mean, you have this all mapped out, it sounds like, John. This guy's going down in a way that will make certain tabloids and not make others.
Yeah, he's gonna, I think we'll phrase it, because I don't want to get like banned from YouTube, but
sure.
He's gonna turn his Audi into an innie.
All right. That'll be a gruesome death.
Like he but that doesn't kill him. The last lie, right?
Correct.
You love your son. Of course I love my son. He's great. I'm the best dad he's ever had. Well, that's two lies.
Right.
Goes in a little deep.
Boom, right.
And the shock of that pain causes him to slam his foot down on the gas pedal and careen right into the Applebee's that he was eating at, smashing his head because he never puts his seatbelt on.
Right, because he's a jerk.
And he's left there to bleed out, at which point the sheriff probably gets a call or it was another accident.
Right, exactly. Well, this is all kind of happening all at once. We're realizing the sheriff's murder here, murder there. Holy crap.
Yeah, Sheriff William doesn't get the call. He doesn't have a radio anymore.
He's asleep
probably going to spend the rest of the night hanging outside this newly dead guy's house.
Right. Oh my God, I love it. So it's just Sheriff Harvey and JJ driving around, basically just looking at murder scenes now. And the mayor could be like pissed at this and maybe shows up at one. And we got to get this out. Arby's is the best restaurant in this town. We got to clean this. We got to clean this up now. We can't let this keep happening. Like, what are you doing with? I brought you in to change this town, and all you're doing is bringing all this stuff with you
tonight.
That's right. Since you showed up, things have just gotten worse. So mayor probably tries to throw him under the bus a little bit, but Sheriff Harvey's above all that, doesn't get fazed by it, knows he'll figure this thing out, and maybe as that's happening, gets a phone call back, Sheriff Harvey does, from one of the women that he called earlier in the movie that had one of her kids go missing but moved away. No one else is called back. She's the only one that does. And so like this is his basically his lucky break where she takes a couple seconds to call him, and he's kind of expecting her to be maybe like upset or also not have much to say or offer or whatever. But instead, she's kind of quiet. Clearly, maybe has been crying for a bit when he picks up the phone and introduces herself, reminds him who she is, and then it's like, yeah, it's horrible what happened. The one who started it all is still out there, and he's too powerful. You'll never get him. And he's like, one who started it all. Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, they were all in on it. Like they all that's why all the dads are dead. Like I guess they couldn't take being found out for the creeps and the freaks they were, but they didn't do it on their own. There was one behind it all, but you'll never get him. He's untouchable. And the sheriff's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, I've said too much, and just hangs up. So now he's like, what the heck? It's one of those like zoom in moments to his head, his face, where he's like, oh my gosh, it is all connected. maybe it's not this Big Nose guy. His Big Nose who she was referring to. He's probably a little bit
Maybe
confused.
Big Nose is the guy, but
Big Nose is the too powerful person, this invincible wood nymph that lives in the woods.
but it's the first time he's gotten some sort of, I mean, debating her sanity, but
Right.
he's gotten some sort of like witness testimony about
Maybe a bigger
like
picture.
from a and she's saying honestly, it was a good thing my husband was an asshole anyways.
That's
like
right. Yes.
that's like I'm glad that he isn't around to hurt him anymore, but you'll never be able to to stop this.
Yes, exactly.
It goes too high. I've said too much.
I've said too much.
But it gives the sheriff something more than just who is that creepy shadow guy in this old newspaper clipping.
Right.
Maybe these guys were singled out for a reason.
Ooh, I love that. And so probably,
and of course, your kid's going to run away if you're a mean asshole to him.
Exactly. And so the sheriff's in an interesting spot. And so I guess like together, the mayor's yelling at him, other sheriff's useless. Town's in like almost chaos mode now with these murders that are happening. He's kind of got to solve it quick. Maybe the mayor even brings in other help. Like, look, you're over your skis here. I'm going to bring in maybe the FBI or some other neighboring towns departments to assist on this. Like, you could just take a seat and sit this one out, and we'll talk about your future when this thing's all sorted. So the sheriff's kind of almost pulled off the case, which is good. It gives him time. Just got that phone call. And I think like the only move they have right now is the sheriff, as he always does, has to trust his son and be like, take me to where you saw Big Nose. Like, I believe you. I think Big Nose has the information we need. Let's go try to talk to him. And so they do it. They go to the Wishing Rock in the woods and stand there, and they don't know really how to summon him. And maybe the kid just kind of closes his eyes and makes the wish again or something. We can figure that out. And sure enough, like, Big Nose starts to show up out of the woods, and the sheriff's like, holy crap. And he reaches for his gun, but then maybe, doesn't pull it out. And exactly.
No.
Be a good little boy. I'm an adult man. Everyone should play me. Right, Dad? Whoa there, guy. All right, let's not get carried away. That's some questions for you. But
pretty sure I never banged a walnut tree.
Right. And a couple crazy years there, but I don't think a tree was on the list. It's amazing. So yeah, he's really, again, like, sheriff's kind of at the end of his rope. A horrible first week at work. Everybody's dying. Mary doesn't believe in him. So like nothing's off the table now, as this guy who's had his whole life together is watching it kind of unravel in front of him. So he just kind of plays the card he has, which is he just carried this information from the woman on the phone. Let's see if Big Nose can kind of like corroborate it, give him more information about it. And so he just asks him, he's like, all right, so like, what are you doing with all these kids? And Big Nose does the creepy, freedom, of course. Freedom from what? Bad stuff, bad people in their lives. Not anymore. The Big Nose is here. Huh?
Yeah, well, yeah, and Big Nose hates liars,
right? Exactly,
and apparently child abusers.
100%. Yeah, and so they get to talking and stuff, and the sheriff is like, "Well, like, what? Why do you still have him? Like, what's the plan?" And that's maybe when Big Nose lets out, like, "There's one more, And the sheriff's like, "I know." And Jane just looks at him. He's like, "Dad, what is he talking about?" And he's like, "Do you think he's? Well, who do you think?" He has Big Nose. And Big Nose is like, the mayor, of course. He's the one. Higgins boy. That poor boy's had it worse than the ball. He's a hard one to get to with the mayor and all. And he finally rhymes. Goddamn, trying to do that all night.
Sure. If I was an editor worth a day, I might go back and make all of his lines rhyme, but I'm not.
That's for the second draft. And so
Big Nose, it kind of like has more of a conversation than we've seen, even if it is in
rhymes or
weird
riddles, kind of creepy statements. Yes,
but I love this because Big Nose backs up the out of town caller,
correct,
saying that there's one more. Big Nose actually fingers the mayor.
Ooh.
in this. That's a detective word, not a sex word.
Not yet.
You
He
weirdo.
noses the mayor.
Big Nose is the mayor. Yeah, anyway, he points out the mayor. It's backed up, or it kind of helps collaborate the story from the woman that called him and told him about the one other guy.
100%.
And sheriff, well, great. I'm the sheriff. We can arrest him. What evidence do you have?
Right.
Right.
And that's
I know by looking at their souls.
I can't really explain magic, dude. Right. Obviously, Big Nose operates outside the law. Like, he doesn't technically probably have a conscience. Maybe he does. Maybe he earned that in Pinocchio. But like he's definitely operating under like some kind of magic. Maybe the blue fairies kind of telling him what to do. That stuff doesn't really matter. But the point is, Big Nose doesn't need evidence. Big Nose sees a kid, knows immediately the kid's in trouble, takes out the troubled person out of that kid's life and saves the kid. That's Big Nose's prime directive. That's what he's doing. Clog, clog, clog. And then so the sheriff's like at this almost impossible crossroads where like he doesn't really have any evidence. He's believing a mythical wood creature boy that he's seen with his own
looking
eyes.
at a mythical wood. Like, I would imagine
exactly.
some of your own perspective might be changing.
Right, I was gonna say a lot is getting rewired in his brain right now. This guy who just believed in the concrete world and lived by the book, and now he's talking to the most famous fairy tale character of all time.
Really?
I don't know, maybe.
It's all right. I like that. Makes it feel prestigious. And he's probably like, well, but or Pinocchio, whatever your name is. But Big Nose, you've killed people. No, I didn't kill anyone.
That's right.
Their lies killed them.
That's right. It's like, all right, I don't know if they'll hold him in court, but also I don't know if you're gonna.
I don't know if you'll show up.
Yeah. It seems like you have some magic. You disappear places.
But it's probably enough to swing the mayor on like, okay, what do we do?
Right.
Like,
exactly.
I can't have more murders. I don't want more missing kids.
Right.
Bring the kids back, and then I'll help you get the mayor arrested, and the kids will be safe. Well, can't bring the kids back until the mayor's gone.
Right. You just can't do it. I like this. And so maybe the plan, the only option really the sheriff has is like, well, no, I mean, so yeah, exactly. Big Nose is going to tell them like, if I see the boy, I can take care of the mayor for you.
Yeah, bring me Higgins and I'll do the rest.
That's right. So Higgins Jr. And so that could be a fun kind of, semi-climactic scene where now the sheriff, who's again down on his luck and shunned by the mayor, is in a town full of FBI agents trying to find this serial killer they think that's killed 3 people in the single night, kidnapped their kids. He has to sneak through this web of law enforcement now to get to the mayor's house and kidnap the mayor's own kid to get him to Big Nose in the woods so that Big Nose can, once he sees the kid, use his magic. That's how the magic works. He's got to see the kid and have the kid be on the wishing rock, ideally, and then he can go from there. And
but that like, why did these kids go missing? Because they chose to go to the wishing rock to wish to stop being
abused. Exactly right. So that's exactly it. That's how it's happened. Is they've all hoped for this. They hope to be free, and Big Nose and ultimately, right, the lies of these horrible people are what did them in. Big Nose is just a vehicle for death. But this is amazing. So that'll be a fun scene, which we don't need to run through every step. I kind of just did, where they sneaking past security guards and FBI people, and they get the kid and. Come on, we're gonna get you out of here. We know your dad's been abusing you. This. We gotta go now. Like, do you want a new life? We got a new life for you. Not sure what it is. You may disappear into the ether.
I haven't fully thought through yet, but so far I'm just running on instinct.
Exactly. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants here.
I'm not from here. I'll probably be gone next week.
Right. I don't think I have a job anymore. Some weird wood guy talked to me in the woods, told me to do this. But really, also, it's like my son thinks this is a good plan. We're gonna do this together, and so.
And I think there'd be a moment too where JJ kind of backed him up and said, like,
"Dad, we gotta save him. No one else will.
We can trust him."
Right?
How does JJ know? Why does JJ know? He's a kid.
The magic
Kids have that magic connection with things that adults can't fully understand. Yep. But there would be a moment because I have a hard time understanding why Dad would throw away years of law enforcement to basically get this guy killed.
Right.
Other than the fact that JJ says we
Exactly.
can. You always say, Dad, go with your gut.
That's right.
No, JJ wouldn't talk like that. But
JJ's a little under the weather. But no, I think you're right. I think, and also, things are happening quickly here. Like they don't have much time. It seems like before the sheriff's kicked out of town, and then the mayor just gets away with it. And now the sheriff's just a disgruntled former employee trying to blame the mayor for kidnapping and abusing a bunch of kids. That won't go anywhere. Like his only play is the one that Big Nose has laid out here. So he kind of does some quick math and is like, well, I have nothing to arrest him on, but if I don't do something tonight, I'm out of job tomorrow. And this guy just keeps getting away with this
same
stuff.
thing his son learned from him, right? Like probability.
Right. Exactly. Yes. He just does that as quick as he can. And it's like, all right, well, let's just, no better day than today to throw it all away. And
so they sort of willingly kidnap the Higgins boy.
Yep.
Bring him back to the Wishing Rock.
And that'll be fun. I see that as kind of like the FBI figure out that he's doing it towards the end as a chase scene. They knock the car off the road, have to jump out, and like literally like the Higgins boy leaps as the FBI is like, freeze, we got you surrounded, leaps onto the stump, and then maybe like the Higgins boy like disappears, or he just is there and fine on the Wishing Rock. But like as soon as Big Nose sees that, he just turns to black smoke and disappears and like flies past all the FBI guys and maybe knocks them down or makes their guns evaporate or whatever can give the sheriff and JJ and the Higgins boy time to continue their escape as Big Nose rushes towards the mayor's house to give him a little ride on the pine. The pine of truth.
And I think for this one, in order to wrap the story up in a way that makes me happy, for this one, I think Big Nose, I can't evaluate, I can't movieify it right now, but rather than murder the mayor, especially because the sheriff was involved, I think Big Nose knows how to get the mayor implicated.
Got it.
And the FBI shows up, and maybe he's just interrogating him and he hasn't gotten the kill phrase in yet. Like, do you love your son? But the FBI hears him saying like, how many boys have you?
Right.
Because the mayor can't just be, we want him to go away. I want him to go away for a while.
Right. I like
the mayor's not just like abusing his son, but the mayor's a little handsy.
Yep, I like this.
How many boys have you touched? None.
Yep.
How many boys have you touched? 6. How many boys have you touched? Oh my God! Okay, I've molested 17 boys in this town.
Right.
And the FBI's like, what the fuck?
Right, and that could be as easy as like, the FBI, someone was listening into his room, an intercom was pressed on when they thought it was off. He thought he hung up a phone. Like, we can find a way to have other people hear the conversation the mayor is having with Big Nose where he confesses to all this stuff. So I like that, and we can weave that in. But I like this a lot where he doesn't even need to murder him. And maybe that would be a funny scene where like the FBI is hearing this and they're like, oh shit, we got to go bust down the door and arrest this guy. He's the one behind all these things, just admitted it. And like right as Big Nose is about to murder him with his nose, they like kick the door down, and like the first FBI guy in the door is the only one that sees like creepy little wood boy on the mayor's head, and then he disappears into black smoke, and they're just like, okay, hands up, sir, you're under arrest. And he has to not put that in his report, so he actually keeps his job.
Yeah, that's true.
But
I got a pension to worry about.
You're right, I got kids. I didn't see a kid with a long nose and a goofy head.
I just heard the mayor confessing to a bunch of pedophile stuff.
That's right. So this is excellent. So the mayor goes away, the kids are safe, and that could be kind of what happens next. Is maybe the JJ, the sheriff, and boy Higgins are hiding in the woods, and you just see kind of like Pinocchio's magical swirly black smoke thing fly towards like the biggest tree in the woods, and a pop and a bunch of magical dust and sparks fly, and like walking out from behind the tree are like all the kids, the 12 kids or however many there are that have been gone. Maybe they're frozen in time, haven't aged, but those missing kids are back. because the mayor is gone, put away, and the kids can now be safe and free in this town. So it ends in a happy note.
I like
We have some
that.
tidying up to do, but
Yeah,
but yeah.
if we're scripting this out for a movie, we'll have a couple of loose ends to tie up, and probably more big nose murder scenes to include.
Yeah, we got 4 in there, almost 5 with the mayor at the end.
2,
That's
3,
pretty good.
yeah.
We could, yeah, more big nose death.
It's really about Big Nose killing people with his nose, but I like that it stayed true to kind of the tale of Pinocchio, including a few maybe like
liberties.
Yeah,
Yeah, we had a lot of creative fun with it, of course.
But initially, I thought Pinocchio was just going to be a crazy murder freak.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we were able to keep him on the good side, prevent the sheriff from being implicated in a murder. And then, yeah, the kids that come out from the hiding place, like maybe they're kids in the beginning, and then as they walk out, they age to their regular age.
That'd be cool.
So they can go find their parents, and they're not stuck living in the woods now.
Right, forever, right.
Kids without Pinocchio.
I like that. And that could be, and for the sheriff and JJ, their kind of full circle is now maybe the sheriff becomes the mayor or something. Like, again, his goal is always to help people. He just had to let go of his kind of by the bookness a little bit. So maybe walking away from being a sheriff is an easy way to start that process. And for JJ, it was all about like wanting to fit in, have friends. Now, you're right. So a lot of those kids still have like a mother that's alive, so they go back. But the ones that don't, maybe the sheriff adopts him. So now JJ has at least new friends, and maybe like literal brothers and sisters he's never had, and they live in the mayor's mansion, the biggest house in town.
Yeah. And he gets his wish.
Right.
He has a very weird birthday party right after a weird series of events, but probably all the kids in town are either afraid of or
they show
or really
respect like him or they're terrified of him. Exactly right. Yeah, he talks to Big Nose. He can summon him and murder you if he wants. Hey, guys, that's not how it works. We all know that.
Don't lie to me.
You're here because you want to be right. Yeah, of course, JJ. Right. That would be a hilarious twist of an ending where he tries to confront some kid in a lie, and JJ's nose twitches a little bit. He's somehow gotten the magic of Pinocchio in his blood. We won't.
Betsy's like, oh, I'm gonna love this. Yeah.
That's right. And then scene and straight to black. But yeah, we did it. We did it, John. I think that's it. I think we've written the next chapter of Pinocchio's life.
It kind of scratches my itch. We talked about doing a Popeye origin story.
We did.
So this scratches the itch I had to do something like that.
Good Lord.
And of course, killing people by letting their lies manipulate your nose into a murder instrument is why hasn't
a tale as old as time.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love it.
So if you made it this far, 1, I love you. 2, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, that's right. We got more fun to come. Who knows what it'll be next time? But that was Big Nose, and this was Remember That Movie. So
until then,
yes,
peace, punch. Give me a lunch.